I read about it. There's another older profession which also apparently has taken to the square with abandon, as it were. Again, I just read about this. Text readers. Do you realize that when you are in a civil lawsuit, you're paying somebody $200 or $300 an hour to sit in a room and read case law? Put it together for the purpose of the lawyer who will argue your case in court, particularly in the corporate world. Well, as it turns out, those readers are human, and they're only about 60% accurate. On the other hand, computers can read, interpret, and write the briefs. Law school enrollments are going down. Did you know that? Some of us who've been married more than too many times look at that as a good thing. I've read about it. After 4 wives, I wish I had started collecting coins as a hobby. It would be much less expensive. Automated call centers. They came back from India. We thought, great. No, they came back as interactive voice technology. Please pay attention as our menu options have changed. No, they haven't. They're just trying to catch their electronic breath so they can understand your speech patterns. Firefly removes kidneys. Medical devices are now doing surgery on humans. I am Firefly. I've come to take out your kidney. You missed. And of course, you've read about Amazon and drone delivery. Technology is destroying, according to these authors, more than it's creating. Now, it's creating new jobs, highly skilled jobs, but just a few, not the many, as had been previously the case. There's a factory that just opened in New York City making silicone chips. The town went, oh, goody, we're getting a factory. Not a single human in the factory. Somebody cuts the grass. You know, the joke about factory production these days is a dog and man. The man's job is to turn the lights on and feed the dog. The dog's job is to keep the man away from the machines. It's not a joke. You see some other examples here. Manufacturing is increasingly moving to robotic delivery of the work. If you ever get a chance to visit some new advanced manufacturing, one of the big Toyota plants is nearby where I live, and I've spent the last several years spent a lot of time with them. They have two skilled occupations. Not the 14 or 15 that we had in most auto plants 15, 20 years ago, 2. Okay? They've got the guy that keeps the machines plugged in and the guy that fixes them when a part breaks, tool and die, and they call them industrial maintenance now. That's the technical term. Very skilled, multi-skilled in fact. They got a whole bunch of other people that they hire through manpower temp to do all the background stuff. Lift boxes, put them there until they can figure out how to get a robot to do it instead. Putting the headliner in a car still takes human dexterity. Robots can't do the moonwalk, despite everything the Koreans have been trying to do with their dancing robots. You ever seen one of them? It's like, kind of fun. But they'll be there. The workplace is changing in ways that nobody can predict. So rhetorically, I will ask you, how do we develop education training programs for the workplace that nobody can predict? I have some thoughts. Education, more myth than reality. Talk faster. Let's look backwards for 30 years. So over 30 years, one can argue that we've narrowed the curriculum to math and literacy, math and reading, however you want to think about it. We have elementary schools in this country that teach those two things, no recess, drill and kill, drill and kill, drill and kill. And is it any wonder kids get into high school and could care less about school? We've beat any creativity out of them. I watch what's going on with Aaron and Liam, my little buddies, now in middle school. You know, and I try to behave myself when I go to parent-teacher conferences and things, but sometimes it's difficult. Imagine me not behaving myself. Narrow curriculum. High school, in a sense, has become the new middle school. We basically say, okay, high school's good for nothing except getting you ready for the next level. We'll call it college. And how many of you have been involved in conversations about rigor? Right? Well, our default definition of rigor is more. We're not happy with their math scores? Make them take more math. Right? And if you put those two words together and add a third syllable, you see what the effect is that we're having on kids. Think about it. Rigor more. Thank you. A tis is a tis. Okay. In the by the way, it's hot in here, is it me? Oh, thank God, I thought I was having flashes. Oh, yeah, okay, join. All right, okay. Eric? Oh, Eric, can we fix that? It's hot. Huh? It's like, okay, wake up, Eric. We just talked. Okay. In the last 30 years, we've added the equivalent of a full year of core academics to the average high school kid's options of getting out of high school. More math, more science primarily. In 1990, the average high school kid graduated with 19 credits. Done. Ready for whatever. Now, in most places, it's 24. These are Carnegie units. 25. I was in a school district recently. It was 32 Carnegie units to graduate from high school. So, what have we got? By the way, this is my depiction of a theoretical construct we call cooperative learning. Okay, 30 years. Reading scores, NAEP, do you all know NAEP, National Assessment of Educational Progress, America's report card? It's the only database we have that sort of tracks all of this stuff over a period of time. Reading scores, flat. Science scores, flat. Math scores, flat. More academics, no change in achievement. It's bobbled up and down a point or two, nothing. You know, there was someone who once said, you know, doing more and more of the same thing, expecting a different result is, thank you, insanity. It is insanity. So, there's some interesting data. Is this an ACT state?
Yes.
Good. We've been working with ACT data for a number of years now. ACT, a number of years ago, said college and career ready in mathematics is a 22 on their test. If you hit the 22, you're golden. You're good. You're ready for college. You're ready for careers. Their own data, not ours, their data show that only 26% of the kids who take Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 can hit that benchmark score. It's got to be a tough test. If you add trig, about 37% can pass it, but the average score is still less than 20. It's not until you take the kids who have had calculus, 5 years, the equivalent of 5 years of high school math, that more than half of them actually can pass it. So, tough test, tough test. So we took a look at the test. We took their test. I got a couple of math PhDs, and I said, let's do this. Let's take curriculum, syllabi from California that has a state syllabi, Texas and Massachusetts. Let's lay it on the table, and let's find those competencies, the content that's linked to the 22. Okay? Let's just see what the kids aren't getting and what they're missing. Here's what we found. Middle school math and Algebra 1. A little bit of geometry, 2 concepts from geometry. If you knew those, you'd get the 22. 3 years of high school math, 4 years of high school math, they can't get it. They can't pass a middle school 9th grade test. Weird. National Center on Education and the Economy, Mark Tucker and his group in Washington, did another kind of analysis related. Especially for community college folks, you should look at this. They went into community technical colleges, first year of occupational sequences, first year classes. They didn't go to the math. They went into these occupational classes and they looked at what math was necessary to be successful in that first year welding class or their first year health class or the first year whatever class. And here's what they found. It's almost all middle school math. Almost all of it is middle school math. It's certainly not Algebra 2. However, they did something we didn't do. They looked at reading skills, and they pegged them at 11th or 12th grade. We need higher reading skills because this technical stuff is pretty complex. You all know that. So here's an interesting point. By the way, this is a great argument for something like iBest. Community college folks, you familiar with iBest? Washington State? Okay. It's a strategy to try to get around this. They also said in their report